Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, the audience discretion is advised. Welcome to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name is James McCarthy, and this is another special Rest Stop episode taken from our chalkboard on the top 5 music videos of all time. And the spotlight here is on fellow traveler Jody Kight, who is a massive fan of horror movies, so much so that he actually has his own podcast called Fearology. And anytime he gets to start talking about horror movies, I know it's his element, and I think we wanted to showcase that here. So, without any further ado, we're going to start talking about Pearl, and let's lead off actually with Brady and his irrational exuberance.
There you go.
The somewhat sequel-ish to X.
And Sharkilla was better.
I liked it. It was great.
It was a
Mia
good
Goth
movie.
is amazing. She's an amazing actress.
It gets batshit.
It goes from like the movie tricked me because I was so like just enamored with everything that was happening. I forgot I was watching a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I was just like, 20, 30 minutes in, okay, she lives on a farm. It's like 1918. It's everything is kind of fun. She has to sneak out to go watch a movie because her mom's like a raging bitch.
Yeah.
And then she just starts stabbing people with pitchforks and shit.
Yeah, it goes from zero to fucking a scarecrow real quick.
Yeah. Literally what he said.
Okay. That was my question. Like,
Yeah, does she fuck a scarecrow? Yes.
Yeah. And then her mother, like in a scene or two later, goes, everybody can see what you're doing, even when you think nobody's looking. I'm like, did she watch her fuck a scarecrow? Possibly.
You think that maybe this is a euphemism or a metaphor?
No, I think you guys
metaphor
are actually-
undetected.
No.
You guys are saying that she fucks a scarecrow.
She fucks the scarecrow and gets mad at the scarecrow because she's married.
Yeah.
What?
She screams, I'm married.
And then she gets more unhinged from there. The credits is just her with this like gigantic grin on her face crying for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
An unbroken shot.
Yeah.
Well, you
It
see
is
director. Like,
Yeah.
Batshit insane.
Produced by.
Yeah.
This is the prequel to X.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. It's fucking
Like Pearl
Great.
is actually the old woman,
in X. Yeah. Yeah, it was something else, and for a minute there, I'm like, oh, that explains the crocodile, because I'm pretty sure it's not the same alligator, for 100 years or whatever. She's taking an egg from the crocodile, so that she can probably raise that as her own, like the next alligator that's going to eat people later. Nope, that doesn't happen. That's not what happens with that.
Nope.
But so I enjoyed that thoroughly, and yes, I watched the whole end credit scene or whatever because it was just fascinating to watch what looked like a human being just completely breaking down on camera.
Yeah. She
which
has like
was-
a monologue like right before the end that you were like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, that was something else. There are lots of parallels between that movie and The Wizard of Oz. It's not too deep, but there's a few things like, technically the water gets thrown on a witch. There's the bicycle scene that's very similar. There's the scarecrow scene that ended up way different.
I mean, it looks like, we were just talking about this earlier, it looks like Technicolor.
It's very Technicolor looking.
Like the first one, what looks like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
This one looks like Wizard of Oz. Like everything looks kind of fake.
And everybody's personalities and characteristics are very similar to that time period as well, making it feel even more authentic.
This one and X were actually shot at the exact same time.
Because that's the same house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the third one, Maxine, I don't think I don't think they've even done. It's supposed to come out next year, I think.
I think
maybe.
it's still in development.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna wait until Maxine is out so that way I can watch.
I think
all
that they're
three at the
both
same
worth
time.
watching right now. I really enjoyed X. I liked Pearl a lot. I think I like X better, but I think that has more to do with I really like Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a movie.
Yeah, I do as well.
So
I'll say this right now because I watched it because I've got like a week free for Paramount, and the thing is, like, this is not the Paramount Plus that started Paramount Plus. Like Paramount Plus, when it started, there was literally like nothing on there. There's a handful of Star Trek stuff. There's almost nothing on, and even though Paramount owns like all the stuff to CBS and the back catalog of CBS TV shows, that's all somewhere else. Like Paramount Plus literally had nothing to offer for the most part, except for when they started doing the new Picard show or whatever. And even then, it was still like even at $5 a month.
Well, Discovery did come out first before Picard.
Well, yeah. But anyway, it didn't have
the
a
new
whole,
Star Trek shows.
There wasn't a lot on Paramount Plus. Now there's a shit ton of stuff on Paramount Plus because a lot of stuff that was on Showtime, the Showtime app, is on Paramount Plus, including X, Pearl, and the next movie that I watched.
Well, and then they finally had the bright idea. Hey, Yellowstone, we can just put that on there.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that show.
And Paramount Plus now is like $12 a month. I think it's gone up.
I mean, they've all gone up.
Yeah. But I watched
Peacock. I think is still like the one where you can get everything with ads though, but for sub $10.
Right.
Yeah.
So I watched Smile. And have you seen that yet?
No, I don't care to watch it. Like, I've seen enough of it, and it just doesn't look interesting to me.
Have you seen it yet?
I'm aware of it.
Are you interested in watching it?
This is one of the few times where I can say me and Brady 100%. Like, there's nothing about that movie that engenders me to go to watch it.
What about you?
I'm aware of it. However, it's one of the, if I was under the category of horror movies that hasn't piqued my interest.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to be making an episode on it for Fearology because I'm going to be recording probably this weekend.
Oh, because you got the computer
Because I got
back.
the computer back.
Oh, man.
And it's going to be a breakdown of Smile. Well, actually, I'm putting Smile in the second here. It Follows versus Smile because it's almost the same plot if you take out the sex part. So in Smile, like the short of it, in Smile, what happens is there's this psychiatrist or whatever. She works at a special needs for mental patients, like a St. Jude for kids, but it's mental stuff or whatever. And she has this girl that shows up. She's like at college. She's like 20 something or whatever. She apparently like 3 days ago in the movie, her professor committed suicide in front of her, right? And like this girl like is just freaking out, and she's like, I see them everywhere, sometimes it's somebody that I know and sometimes it's somebody that I don't know, and every time I see them they're smiling. And so the doctor's trying to talk to her, and she's acting erratic, and then all of a sudden, like, she knocks this one vase over that's in the room because the room's really barren because you don't want any kind of objects around for anybody that's got any sort of situation that's happening. And then she turns around, and the girl has like a shard of the porcelain from the vase, and she's just really like wildly smiling at her, and she goes from ear to ear with it. Almost cutting her whole face off while she's smiling, and it just like falls over or whatever. And then after like about a day, she starts seeing people that are just smiling at her. And so it ends up being like a It Follows curse.
Yeah.
So there's two things I didn't like about the movie. One is that plot has already been done with It Follows. I hope people don't try and make that into a subgenre because one movie was enough and it was decent for what it was. Two, it was 2 hours long. It didn't need to be 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Horror needs to be short, because once you get used to it, it doesn't have the punch.
Most of the time, 88 to 98 minutes is enough for a horror movie. Dead Alive is like 89 minutes long,
Yeah, if that had gone another 30 minutes, like, here's some more just barbaric shit we could do, and it doesn't matter anymore.
It's even worse though if you're doing it's the same thing they did with Lights Out. I don't know if you've seen Lights Out.
Yeah,
Lights Out is in the same vein as it's a horror movie, but there's a mystery intertwined with the family in Lights Out where they're trying to figure out why this is happening and why it's following, who it's following, and so it ends up being it's a mystery thriller, but also a horror movie with gore in it.
Yeah.
That
Lights Out was actually a short film before it was.
Was it?
Yeah, and I've heard that the short film is it's a really just super
Punches
punchy, just a super punchy thing.
Right.
And
Well, yeah,
then-
because there's
and
no time to waste. It's like boom.
It's just like one scene, and
Yeah.
okay, and that's great.
I liked Lights Out. It was okay. Like Smile. It's because it's 2 hours. It's just. At one point, I was like, and I never do this, even when I'm by myself, I almost never look at my phone when I'm watching a movie. Like, I'm paying attention the whole time when I'm watching a movie. The whole time I was watching Pearl, I was just enthralled with everything that was happening. I looked at my phone like 2 or 3 times because there was like points of dialogue where I'm just like, I'm going to get through this movie, but I'm not interested in what's happening right now because it's the same kind of pattern that's happening over and over again. Yeah, okay, now her sister thinks she's crazy. Okay, now her husband thinks she's crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks she's crazy. Let's just get that done with, like, all in one time. In fact, one of the outbursts that happens at her nephew's birthday party, and she fucking freaks out, and everybody looks at her and is like, that's enough. We don't need to keep doing this over and over again.
Yeah,
But they could have trimmed it, and even if they would have trimmed it, it would have been a great movie. But it's not a bad movie. It's just like,
yeah, I heard enough about it that it was just fine. That was just like I don't
the worst for me. The worst kind of movie is mediocre. I take bad over mediocre, so it was mediocre, really.
There's also the scene with the car door at the car window. Was done a couple of years before in this Argentinian horror movie called Terrified.
Okay.
They basically, I don't know if they ripped it off, but it's the same
same shot,
same scare and shot. From what I've heard, it's pretty much shot for shot. But yeah, it's.
I wanted to see it. It was on, it was on a streaming service that I had access to at least for a week, and I hadn't watched any horror movies in a while, so I'm catching up on not watching any during October kind of thing or whatever, and I thought about it after I watched it. I'm like, man, I should have watched this before Pearl, because I ended the night on Smile, and I'm like,
It Follows is having a sequel called They Follow.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I know it's all the original people. I don't think that movie needed a sequel.
That turns me off.
Yeah, that movie was good in what it did because it was very original in its premise and the plot, and there only needs to be one.
Yeah,
that I've seen other movies where I've said that before, and somehow they turned it around.
I could be proven wrong, but
some Final Destination movies I will watch over others, even though that only needed one movie.
Right.
Because once you got the premise, and especially what's by the time you get to the next movie, everyone from all the other movies is dead because of course, which you have to have that logical consistency,
right? Just
so that nobody asks that fucking. But at the same time, it's like, okay, all these people are dead. Because at that point, then it works against you because everybody in this thing's going to die.
Right.
And it's just like, how imaginative are the death scenes? I thought 3 was probably... Well, no, it's not that I thought. I think 3 is my favorite. Partly because Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in there, and I really love her as an actress.
Yeah.
And I thought some of the stuff they did there was fun. And it's still in that tongue-in-cheek kind of side-eye look that Scream did, and that we're playing with these tropes and they're having fun with it. Whereas if you're taking it too fucking seriously, that's when I kind of lose it. I did like Final Destination 5, because only for the ending, because you don't notice it up until it's like, wait a minute, these are really old cell phones. Wait a minute, oh, they're on a plane. Oh, okay, I'm okay with this. You've got to get through the movie.
Yeah, of course. And I liked Scream 1 was great. Scream 2 was actually pretty good. After that, but
I don't care about.
But actually, I don't know if you've ever seen The Faculty.
Yeah.
Oh man, that movie's awesome.
I like The Faculty. I don't think it's a good movie.
No, it's a B movie, but it's an enjoyable B movie.
I think of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers copies. It's one of the better ones.
It is definitely one of the better ones, including a remake of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, because There was one that was made in the 90s, and it was
which remake? Yeah. There's so many.
It's not the 70s version, which I think is the best version.
Yeah,
that's arguably. I still like the original 50s because of
the Cold War scare.
The tinge of the Cold War being back behind that, I think, plays a little.
The acting in the 70s movie is so good.
Well, I mean, we're talking what Donald
Sutherland, Leonard Nimoy,
but
Jeff.
Sorry. The female who's alien.
I see her. I fucking
Brooke
see
Adams.
her.
No. That's a
Veronica Cartwright.
Veronica Cartwright.
Yeah.
I think acting wise, like I can agree with you too. I prefer the 50s one more because it's camp enough without being camp, which for 50s horror is hard to find.
Well, it ends on a sort of like better note than the 70s movie, because the 70s movie ends with like everybody.
Oh yeah, well I mean that was back in the day when movies like had to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
But
even then the 50s didn't have a happy ending.
Well, it was just like
it's of all people whose last name is McCarthy. I think Kevin McCarthy looking directly at the screen, going, "You're next."
You're next.
Like that's not. I wouldn't call that a good ending, you know.
Funny thing about that is he's in the first one of the first scenes in the 70s movie, and they're chasing him.
He's also the station manager for the evil television station in Weird Al's UHF.
Oh, okay,
that is true.
And he is an absolutely wonderful part of that movie because he knows exactly what he's doing and he's taking it too fucking.
And he also played the same character in Basketball.
If he did.
Yeah, that's how it rolls, folks. We start horror and we end up in basketball. Just a typical traveler's night. But yeah, again, Jody, thank you for your love of horror movies. And normally we would be plugging Travelers, but we're going to be plugging Fearology here specifically. So if you like horror and horror movies and horror content, please check out Fearology. It is available on Spotify. It is hosted by our illustrious Jody Kight. And again, thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Yeah, I think this bus is ready to go. So have a very good night or day or afternoon, whichever time you're hearing this. And bye-bye, guys.